The world of reality TV, you think you've seen it all, right?
Yeah.
But then a headline drops that it stops you in your tracks.
And this was more than just drama. This was a reality check no one saw coming. A former Real Housewives star, known for her detective work, suddenly losing physical custody.
Of all 3 of her children.
And not just in a standard divorce ruling, this involved child protective services.
When a school employee makes that call, the stakes couldn't be higher.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Today, we're dissecting the temporary custody ruling against Meghan King in favor of Jim Edmonds.
We'll be looking at the alleged cause of the CPS investigation, the very acrimonious history of their divorce, and what this whole thing reveals about celebrity custody battles when they play out in public.
So let's jump right in. The headline that just sent shockwaves through the celebrity world was this: "The housewife detective is under investigation."
And under investigation is putting it lightly. The reports from Us Weekly, People, TMZ, they all confirmed it.
Meghan King lost temporary physical custody of her kids.
All 3 of them. Her daughter, Aspen, who's 8, and the 7-year-old twins, Hart and Hayes. Custody went to her ex-husband, Jim Edmonds.
And this took place in the months right before November 2025.
And let's be really clear about what lost custody means here. Edmonds got sole physical custody.
While King, her access was limited to supervised visitation.
Supervised visitation. For anyone who doesn't know family law, that is one of the most severe temporary restrictions a court can possibly impose on a parent.
It's a huge red flag. A shift that drastic, especially in the middle of a school year, suggests that whatever the findings were, they were significant enough for a judge to take immediate action.
Oh, immediate and drastic action. You don't see a court hand over sole custody because of, arguments over homework or bedtimes.
No. This had to be triggered by what the court saw as an immediate safety risk.
Exactly. And that trigger, according to all the sources, wasn't some anonymous tip. It wasn't Jim Edmonds' camp calling in a complaint.
It came from a mandated reporter.
A school employee. They made the call to Child Protective Services. And that's where the story gets really, really complicated because the system itself was forced to act.
Which brings us to the core allegation. And that's not even the wildest part. The rumors about what prompted that CPS call are explosive. We'll get into those details next. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, by the way, make sure you're subscribed.
So this brings us to the Ritalin revelation.
Or why a school employee became a mandated reporter.
This is the critical piece of the puzzle.
The rumor that's been circulating everywhere, and it was reportedly confirmed by Kelly Dodd on TikTok after she said she spoke with King,
Right.
is that the CPS call was triggered because Meghan King allegedly gave one of her sons, Hayes, the medication Ritalin.
But without a prescription. And that is the detail that changes absolutely everything.
Because Ritalin isn't just any medication.
No, it's a Schedule II controlled substance. That puts it in the same class as drugs like Adderall or even oxycodone. These are substances with a high potential for abuse, and they are heavily regulated by the government.
And the allegation goes further, right? That she didn't just give it to him.
She sent him to school with it, and that's the moment the legal mechanism kicked in.
Because a school nurse, a teacher, any school employee, they are mandated reporters.
They are legally obligated to report suspected child abuse or neglect. And sending a child to school with an unprescribed Schedule II controlled substance, that absolutely qualifies.
Regardless of the parent's intention.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. The school has to keep that kind of medication locked up with a valid prescription on file. When that protocol is broken, they have to make the call to CPS or, in Missouri, the Children's Division.
So this gives so much context for why the court's reaction was so severe.
It's not about Jim Edmonds winning an argument. It's about a state agency investigating a report from a neutral, mandated third party. For a judge to sign an order removing the children, even just temporarily, there has to be a finding of immediate danger.
And a controlled substance allegation, that just raises the stakes exponentially.
It does. But let's talk about the public reaction here for a second, because that's a whole other battlefield.
Right. The court of public opinion. It's completely split.
On one side, you have people saying this is proof of what they call Meghan's downward spiral since she left the show.
And then the other side, her supporters, are saying this is nothing but a smear campaign.
Orchestrated by Jim Edmonds, who they've labeled emotionally abusive, and that he's just using this to get permanent custody.
But wait a minute. If the school employee is the one who made the call,
a neutral party.
Right. Doesn't that kind of undermine the whole smear campaign theory?
It definitely complicates it. I mean, it drastically reduces his direct influence on the CPS finding itself. Now, he absolutely created the adversarial context.
With his 2023 court filings.
Yes, exactly. He filed to modify custody, calling her unstable and unfit. But the actual removal order, this temporary one, is based on the independent findings of a state agency.
So he may have set the stage.
But the school provided the script. That distinction is so critical.
And that history of conflict is really the backdrop for this whole crisis. It's not just gossip, it's legal context.
Which brings us to our next segment, a divorce basically designed for disaster.
I mean, we don't have to rehash every single fight, but their history is just defined by high-level conflict.
It really is. Married in 2014, split in 2019 after the whole sexting scandal. The divorce was finalized in 2021.
And in between all that, King had that very brief, very public marriage and annulment to Cuff Owens, who is President Biden's nephew.
Which, just gave the Edmonds camp more ammunition for their claims of her instability.
And that's exactly what he cited in his March 2023 motion to change custody. He argued she was unfit to co-parent. The battle lines were drawn way before the CPS call ever happened.
But it's how they fought that really matters to a judge.
Yes. The police incident from May 2025. I mean, that's a perfect example.
It's textbook high-conflict behavior. Jim Edmonds' current wife called the police on Meghan during a drop-off.
Over a dress for their daughter, Aspen.
A dress. Accusing her of trespassing. You have law enforcement getting involved over a piece of clothing. To a family court judge, that shows the conflict itself is harming the children.
And it wasn't a one-off. Meghan had also gotten a temporary restraining order against Edmonds back in 2022, alleging verbal abuse.
Though she did later drop it.
Still, you have years of this. Public accusations, police calls, restraining orders, media statements.
It creates an environment that the court sees as inherently damaging to the kids, even before you throw in a controlled substance allegation.
And if you're finding this deep dive into the legal side of pop culture interesting, this is a great time to hit that subscribe button. We're always breaking down these stories.
When you look at this pattern, you see the lessons from so many other high-profile cases, but they're just amplified here.
The biggest failure is just the total lack of discretion.
A spectacular failure, really. They publicized every single dispute. Social media posts, police reports, statements to the press.
And every single one of those things becomes evidence. It becomes a documented exhibit showing their inability to co-parent without creating chaos.
And when CPS gets involved, the court suddenly has proof that the parents' conflict has escalated to a point of potential danger.
So here's the critical legal shift. In a normal custody case, the burden of proof is on the parent asking for a change.
Right.
But now the burden is on Meghan King to prove she has fixed the problems that a state agency identified.
That is the mountain she has to climb before that hearing in December. The focus is no longer on her versus Jim. It's on her ability to demonstrate safety and compliance to the court.
So let's talk about that. Looking ahead to that hearing, what does she actually have to do to regain custody?
Her path forward has nothing to do with winning an argument against her ex. It's about winning the trust of the court and of CPS.
Okay, so what does that look like in practical terms?
It means submitting to any evaluations they mandate. Could be psychological, substance abuse, parenting classes, you name it.
And she has to show 100% compliance.
100%. She needs to show that she understands the seriousness of administering a controlled substance without a prescription and that she can provide a safe environment, period.
The court's only standard is the best interest of the children.
And with this history, the bar for her to prove she's fit and stable has been set incredibly high, much higher than in a typical divorce.
It just puts a heartbreaking spotlight on the kids, Aspen, Hart, and Hayes. Their entire lives are caught in the crossfire of headlines and state agency reports.
The legal system has to step in when parents can't or won't. And the actions they took here, that extreme restriction to supervised visitation, it tells you everything you need to know about how serious the system viewed the immediate risk.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to think about as this all unfolds. When celebrity divorces get this public, this destructive, and you have a system like CPS stepping in, does the media spotlight itself become an accelerant to the crisis?
Does that constant documentation and sensationalism make it almost impossible for the parents to ever truly fix the core safety issues?
It's a crucial question about where fame and family law collide and the price that's ultimately paid by the children caught in the middle.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood music and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.